I'm going to show you this really simple technique. I'm doing some royal cupcakes at the moment, so I'm doing the fleur-de-lis, which is the shape in the centre of these cakes. But it's a really fun thing to do. Very simple, gives a nice effect. Effectively, I am doing cupcakes, and I've just rolled out my fondant. Just rolled out my fondant. I selected a cutter that is about the right shape for the right size of my cupcake. You can see that it's about the right size. And I cut the piece out. Now you can either do this before you cut the piece out or after the piece out, whatever. And then using a texture mat. Now this is actually a craft mat. It's for paper embossing. It's a Friska's one. And it's a texture plate, I think it's actually called. But I really liked the pattern on it, and it seems to really work well for the icing or the fondant. So I just push down on the piece that I've cut out, and that leaves a really beautiful sort of fabric pattern on there, which I don't know if you can see that very well there, which I really like. Anyway, once I've done that, I get my little fleur-de-lis cutter, put it in the centre of the piece that I've just cut out, cutting my fleur-de-lis out, which I could either use for something else to decorate or whatever I feel like. Then using a different colour, and I'm using red and blue at the moment to keep in line with the whole sort of royal flag kind of colours, British colours. I've just basically got a small piece, which I will just, my mat's getting a little bit sticky here, I'll just put some more corn flour down. Just roll out my piece so it's big enough for my fleur-de-lis to cut out. And what I'm doing is I'm also making sure that I've got my roller with its markers, so I'm making sure the thickness is the same as the thickness that I cut out in my other piece for my actual cupcake cover. And then using a different texture mat, this one is a little bit of squares. I'm actually going to make sure I do this before I cut the fleur-de-lis piece out, given that I have already cut the piece out of my centre. I want to make sure it matches, because if I don't do it the same way, when I push down on the board, I will have a different shaped fleur-de-lis. Anyway, I've now got a nice pattern on there. Then I make sure I line my fleur-de-lis up. There's a little bit of corn flour in there, that doesn't matter. With sort of making sure, looking through, that it has the texture that I want in the right spot, so that I get the most out of the texture effect. Once I'm happy with the spot, just cut my piece of fleur-de-lis out, screw it up over here, and then effectively all you're doing after that is then matching this piece into the piece that you've just done. Now, I haven't used any fondant to do the edging with, because the blue and the white, it tends to be quite, I don't know, tricky in terms of it can run. Then I've just picked the two up, grab my cupcake, and very carefully I'm going to lay them down, and then very gently piece it all together, using the ganache underneath to help stick the fondant in place and get my spot. But you have to be a little bit careful, because you do have the pattern and you don't want to wreck it. But anyway, just push it in. If you weren't using the pattern on the fondant, you could actually roll over the top once you've got your pieces in place. But this one, just have to be a little bit tricky, and there you go, and it's quite a nice effect. That one I've already sort of let set a little bit. It's quite nice. Enjoy. You can do it for any shape too. Have fun.